tell. It's gonna be a great Noel. It's the Advent Calendar House. Muppets, Pac-Man, Smurfs, and even Garfield's Halloween. We're gonna take a trip down memory lane. Frosty, Rudolph, and a bunch you've probably never seen. It's Mike and pals that come to entertain. Turn the knob and lift the latch for fun and laughs that can't be matched. But just beware the icy patch. It's the Advent Calendar House.
Welcome to the Advent Calendar House, the podcast made with 17 layers of meat, cheese, and vegetables, all of which neatly folds into an accordion and can be swallowed whole by a Great Dane. Speaking of ridiculous cravings, I've got one for an old-fashioned Christmas scary ghost story, so let's fire up the mystery machine and take a drive back to 1984 for the very first Christmas special starring Scooby-Doo. It's a seasonally spooky episode of the new Scooby-Doo mysteries called the Nutcracker Scoob.
Come on, Scooby, where you been? Trouble's on the loose again.
I am 6 or 7-year-old orphan sent up a tall ladder by myself in the name of family theater, Mike Westfall. And joining me is my mystery-solving pal who's somehow wearing an elf costume under his Scrooge in pajamas and bare feet costume, but don't think about that for too long. It's Donnie Storms. Hey, Donnie.
Hey, Mike. I'm anxious to discuss the finer points of whether Scooby-Doo can do or if, in fact, Jimmy Carter is smarter.
And my occasionally bipedal dog with enough strength to deadlift a horse, but only if you offer him a cookie. It's Adam Pope. Hey, Adam.
All right. My broadcasting review.
Here it is. Right out of the gate. Beautiful. Thank you both for being here. So the thing with Scooby-Doo and his 17 different TV series, and I don't think I'm exaggerating that number, is that I've seen so much of it that it all just blurs together in my head. So before watching this Christmas episode, I wasn't sure if I had seen it before. But it didn't take long for me to realize I think I have. I just cannot pinpoint when. So I want to know if you happen to remember watching this episode before, and let's start with Adam.
So this was definitely new to me. And like you say, there were so many different versions of Scooby-Doo to be watching.
Yeah.
Like I definitely watched, the Scooby-Doo and Scrappy-Doo show. And then I also watched the other one where it was like, we have to be involved till the mystery is solved. Hang around for Scooby-Doo. It was always whatever the different theme song was. That's how I knew what I was watching, right?
Yeah. Donnie, what about you? Have you seen this episode before?
Not even once. I was 3 when this came out. I had actually just turned 3, and so my memory of this era of Scooby-Doo is very, very thin at best. I was much more into a pup named Scooby-Doo.
Okay.
Yeah.
On Saturday mornings. That was my bread and butter. I remember watching Scooby-Doo at a daycare, and I must have watched a lot of it because we had a thing in my house. My mom would a lot of times she would take me to get like a treat on Friday after we were done school.
Nice.
And I remember her singing, "Scooby-Dooby-Doo, where are you? Would you like to go to McDonald's?" Like, that was a thing, and it's still a thing in my house. If we drive by a McDonald's, we will sing, "Scooby-Dooby-Doo, where are you? Would you like to go to McDonald's?" Like, that's a thing. So, I don't know why, but I must have watched a lot of it as a child. I do not remember this one at all.
So this was an episode of The New Scooby-Doo Mysteries. Technically the 6th rebranding of Scoob and the Gang, but it's actually the title of only the 2nd of 2 seasons of this particular version of the show, which started as The New Scooby and Scrappy-Doo Show. Yeah, Scrappy's here. We'll get to him in a minute. But they tweaked the title and also the theme song. It's 1984, and the hottest thing in music is a little song called Thriller. So the opening theme of this cartoon features a bunch of monsters doing the Thriller dance.
It's pretty amazing to see that lineup there. I was just like, wow, they are going all out. Like, it made me feel like we were going to watch like an animated version of Beetlejuice's Graveyard Review from Universal Studios, you know?
Hey, yeah. Anyway, this episode, The Nutcracker Scoob, first aired December 1st, 1984, a Saturday morning on ABC, and it was the last episode of that series. It'd be followed by The 13 Ghosts of Scooby-Doo. That's the one with Vincent Price, speaking of Thriller. But this was Scooby's first Christmas episode. Sure, they went skiing a bunch of times before this and had to deal with fake snow monsters, but this is the first explicitly Christmas adventure, which takes up both halves of the episode. This version of the show was usually split up into two stories, which was the style at the time. But if you want to watch this, well, it was on Tubi, and now it's not, but I found it on the Internet Archive, so go there. But let's go. We open on a snowy Christmas Eve morning at a children's home where Scoob and the gang are helping with a Christmas pageant. They're singing Deck the Halls. They start by singing Deck the Halls, but they change the words to describe what all the main characters are doing.
Daphne dresses like Kris Kringle. La 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 la.
Freddy sings a Yuletide jingle.
And they sing a whole song. They get 3 verses here to just tell us what's happening.
Yeah, it felt like they were definitely going all in on the Christmas theme. This wasn't just like Christmas adjacent. They're like, no, it's in the script. This is Christmas time, a Christmas pageant, and everybody gets their verse, basically, is kind of how it felt like. Like everybody gets highlighted in a big way. And I felt like it really opens it up strong, because it wasn't just like, oh, we're driving in the mystery machine to somebody's uncle's house or something. You know, it's just like, no, full on production.
I will say they immediately infuriated strong, but I was immediately I twitched a little bit because they rhyme before us with for us, which is I know it's not technically rhyming the same thing with the same thing, but it's close enough that it made me twitch.
Oh, you're a poet laureate. Oh, yeah, but this all ends in Shaggy carrying Scooby on a bed and tripping over some ornaments lying on the floor, sending them both crashing into a table of cookies and a punch bowl. Scooby is somehow in the punch bowl, even though that should not physically be possible. Did you notice that? It reminded me of that one episode of Mr. Wizard's World where, oh, my head's sticking out of this bowl, but there are mirrors underneath this table.
Well, there's a lot of strange physics in this one. That's what I noticed about this particular special, is that it is so much comedy, so many visual gags.
Oh, yeah.
That I remember, Scooby-Doo, Where Are You? Really tried to kind of stick to reality. And this one's like, no, this is full on bonkers the entire time. Like, if we could squeeze in a costume change or a visual gag, they're going to do it.
Yeah, this seems a lot cartoonier than a lot of versions of Scooby, which is saying something. This is the show that gave us the whole trope of going into one door in a hallway and going out a completely different door on the other side of the hallway and doing that for like 2 minutes.
Yeah.
And we are talking, when it comes to food, there is precedent that Scooby can physically contort himself to fit the situation. When you present him with a sandwich that's 17 layers tall, the dog unhinges his jaw and eats it in one bite.
Oh, yeah.
So when it comes to getting into the punch bowl, I'm thinking if he really wanted to, he could find a way.
I guess so, yeah. Both Scooby and Scrappy-Doo are voiced by Don Messick. We last heard from Don on this podcast in the Rankin Bass special Jack Frost. He was Snip the Snowflake Maker. So I'm going to try and explain things without having to go into the entire history of the Scooby-Doo franchise. But in 1980, Hanna-Barbera broke up Mystery Incorporated. They started phasing out the teenagers, except Shaggy. Scooby and Shaggy are inseparable. But 1979, they introduced Scrappy-Doo, and in 1980, they removed Daphne, Fred, and Velma. And I guess someone realized, hey, we really need those other teenagers around.
Yeah, it was weird. Depending on which version of the show, they'd have one of or two of the other, members of the gang there. And yeah, it's so weird that like they have everybody but Velma.
Yes.
Velma was the holdout. It feels like she wouldn't sign the contract for the reunion,
I'm not driving up there.
Or alternately, I choose to believe that they were like, hey guys, let's go help some disadvantaged children. And Velma was like, I'm good, guys. You guys go ahead and do that.
Didn't want to drive in all that snow. So in 1983, they brought back Daphne as a reporter for a teen magazine. That's the whole gist of this series. At least that was her cover for wanting to get the band back together to solve mysteries again. And that's the premise for this version of the show.
I think everything's finally set up.
Daphne is voiced by Heather North, who continued portraying her until 2003. Before getting into voice acting, she was a regular on Days of Our Lives in the late 60s and early 70s. She was married to that show's producer. And there was an opening for the voice of Daphne on Scooby-Doo. The original voice actor had to leave. She was moving away, and Heather was encouraged to audition by her roommate, Nicole Jaff, the voice of Velma, who's not in this episode. But Fred is. Fred's here. He apparently works at this children's home.
He's everywhere you want to be.
That's right.
Freddie, I'm so glad you brought your friends here to help the children put on our Christmas pageant.
Glad to help, Mrs. Featherwig.
Fred, of course, is voiced by Frank Welker, doing what I'm sure I've called on this podcast his resting Fred voice. We last heard from Frank Welker as Nibbler on Futurama. So Fred, in his absence, was apparently been working at this children's home and invited his friends there for Christmas to help with this pageant. To the delight of Fred's boss, Mrs. Featherwig is what every website I've looked for this episode on is calling her, but it really sounds like he's just calling her Mrs. Fezziwig.
They get as close as they can. Yeah, definitely. And that was the thing that kind of throws me off, because I was like, this is a Nutcracker Scoob, but it seems to be leaning a little bit on, a Christmas Carol. Like we have a Scrooge type character, but that's not the Nutcracker. So they were mixing a lot of stuff where I was like, this is a weird, a combination of Christmas tales.
Well, not to get too far ahead of ourselves, but I mean, if you're looking for accuracy in the Nutcracker, this ain't it.
No.
Oh, no.
So, I mean.
No, this whole pageant is just things we associate with Christmas and we have costumes for. But Mrs. Fezziwig, who cares? She's voiced by Tress MacNeille. This is a fairly early gig in her voice acting career. We also last heard from her on Futurama. Remember Tinny Tim?
Yeah.
Please, sir. And Shaggy, of course, is voiced by Casey Kasem.
Like it really brightens up the place.
I talked about him earlier this season, too. He was Peter Cottontail. So while they're setting up for this pageant, Fred finds an antique nutcracker. That's a surprise tool that can help us later. And they just like, hey, here's a nutcracker. Scrappy says it should go in a special place for the pageant. And then the littlest kid at the home, a tiny Tina.
What's that, Teddy? Oh, Teddy thinks it should go on the very top of the Christmas tree.
Suggests putting it at the top of the Christmas tree, and everybody cheers, and that's the last we hear about the antique nutcracker for about 15 minutes.
The Tiny Tina character is so interesting to me because she calls Scooby Uncle Scooby. And I was just like, has anybody ever referred to him as Uncle Scooby at any point in the series other than Scrappy? Like, is she related? Like, what is going on here? She's in the family now?
I like Uncle Scooby. He's silly.
Well, that would be a very child thing to do.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not trying to give credence to just the writers doing whatever they felt like doing, but I mean, that is a very child thing to do. If you were hanging out with, friends and all of them were calling, they were all related, they were all cousins or whatever, they were all calling one guy Uncle so-and-so, you're probably going to call him Uncle so-and-so. So I think if she's really good friends with Scrappy, in my head canon, she's really good friends with Scrappy. She probably would say Uncle Scoob to match up with what her friend was doing.
There you go. Scrappy's the one who's her height, so that's the one that she relates to, and so she calls him Uncle Scooby. Tiny Tina is voiced by Diane Michelle. I've talked about her. She was the voice of Daisy Duck in the 80s and 90s until Tress MacNeille took over.
Wow.
She's actually in Mickey's Once Upon a Christmas, but I don't think I mentioned it in that episode because it was only for one of the segments, not the Donald Duck and Christmas Every Day one, because that's Tress MacNeille. That's the first time Tress MacNeille voiced Daisy, but they still had Diane Michelle voice her in one of the other segments. Just weird, because I guess it's 3 different segments and they recorded them all at different times, and she wasn't available for the second one. And I guess well, we got this one and she's better. So they put this Nutcracker on top of the tree right as an old man walks in and announces he's shutting the place down.
As you know, Mrs. Fezziwig, this building used to belong to my family, so I've come to buy it back. Today.
A Mr. Winslow Nickleby, who, despite being in 1984, is still dressed like Scrooge, except he's got a cat perched on his shoulder.
I gotta ask, did anybody else, once they saw this cat, start thinking of Dr. Claw?
Yes! Exact same character design.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, and it's Frank Welker as Mr. Nickleby and his cat.
Yes.
Doing, his whiny cat voice.
So 2 things. First of all, Winslow Nickleby, S-tier villain name. Just absolutely S-tier villain name. But, and this is thing too, if you name your child Winslow Nickleby, you have set them on a career path that no good can come of. If your name is Winslow Nickleby, you are shutting down something involving children, be it a ski chalet, a orphanage, a soda shop. I don't care what it is. If your name is Winslow Nickleby, you are shutting down something involving children. You're a bad guy.
Yeah. Well, I figure, we can't call him Scrooge. What's some other Dickens name we can steal? Nickleby. Perfect.
Yes.
Frank Welker also voices Mr. Nickleby's lawyer, who's here.
We're prepared to make a most generous offer for this building.
Why do the cranky old businessmen always decide to shut down important buildings for children right around Christmas?
I know, they want to feel big. They want that power trip, and it's good for business. They're going into the next year. I mean, it's not the fiscal year, but I guess they're just,
I mean, it could be for a private company, yeah.
Yeah, maybe so. Yeah, it's like, we're going to get this one off the books or whatever.
We're going to get this one off the books.
Yeah. Move your fiscal year to the end of June like schools. You'll get fewer people protesting, but it's Christmas, I guarantee you. Nickleby doesn't care that it's Christmas Eve. By the way, it's Christmas Eve. Both he and the cat give us a bah humbug. And the lawyer says they've prepared a generous offer for the building. $5,000.
In this economy?
Well, I was trying to think. I was like, in 84? Was that a lot of money?
It's unintentionally the funniest line of this whole thing. Yeah, if you were wondering, but inflation. Listen, $5,000 in 1984 is the equivalent of a little over $15,000 in 2025. Feels like it should be more, but definitely not even close to what a building of this size would be worth. Even Tiny Tina realizes this. She's like, $5,000, that's chicken feed.
Future CEO, Tiny Tina.
She's a sassy little orphan. She's a streetwise little kid, despite being cooped up in this orphanage on the top of a mountain where it has not stopped snowing this entire time. That's why we don't see the mystery machine, because they can't get up this mountain in the snow. So Mrs. Featherwig tells Nickleby they're not selling, and Scrappy-Doo pipes in.
Yeah, the kids like it here, mister, so you'd better leave. Yeah.
And they duke it out, mostly off-screen, sadly, while we watch Shaggy, Scooby, and Nickleby just watching them with their mouths hanging open for way longer than it's worth.
I gotta say that was great for me. I was a Scrappy-Doo kid. I saw Donnie roll his eyes when we mentioned Scrappy, but I loved Ewoks. I loved Scrappy-Doo. All of the stuff that was like the slightly older generation was like, oh, they kiddified everything. I was like, I was that kid who was born in '82 and said, yes, this is for me. And so that was exciting. And Scrappy, when I go back now, he's like, he is a lot less annoying, at least in this, than he was believed to be, than everybody would, be telling you, oh, Scrappy, no. I think he's a solid character in this one.
So in my defense, I uniformly I don't know what it is. It's the way I'm wired. I cannot stand relative characters that get introduced when they've run out of stuff to do. Scrappy bothered me as a kid. I cannot stand an episode where Scooby-Doo shows up. I'm so out on Scooby-Doo. Snoopy's cousin Spike. If it's something with Spike in it, I just miss me. But I have in my notes, Scrappy is 1,000% more tolerable than he's ever been in any other piece of media in this episode.
Yes. This is light on Scrappy, and it's better for it. Like, this is his one big moment where he and the cat get in a scuffle, and it's off screen. I always wondered whether Scrappy-Doo was all talk, but he is not. He sends that cat flying into two adults and a Great Dane, and all four of them get launched out the door and into the snow. But he shouts the old, I'll get this building back one way or another, as he and his lawyer just walk away down the mountain in the snow.
Yeah, that lawyer, they did a whole character design. You really think he's going to add up to something, and is he a red herring? But we got a new character. He's right there. There's so many suspects already, right?
Right. The animator's brother-in-law. They're like, hey, we're going to put you in the cartoon.
Well, he kind of looks like Michael Ensign, the guy from Ghostbusters, who's the hotel manager. Yeah. The fussy guy.
I'm just wondering how they got to the children's home. They couldn't drive, I guess, but they just walked down. It's like they didn't take we see some horse-drawn carriages later, but these two are just walking back, I guess. Not dressed for it, walking in a blizzard, but fine. So everyone back at the children's home get back to rehearsing their pageant, and Scrappy-Doo is stuck with, I'm assuming was the only costume in his size, a sugar plum fairy. Shaggy is playing Scrooge, Scooby is the ghost of Christmas past, and Daphne is dressed in an angel costume that just never comes up. And she wears it for a decent chunk of this episode, too.
Well, I was actually curious. Did either of you ever participate in a Christmas pageant? Because I feel like I see this all the time, and I had no opportunities growing up. I don't even remember attending a Christmas pageant.
Yep.
Oh, who were you?
Okay. So if I Googled it enough, I could probably find it. We did a play in 5th grade that was Santa had to lose weight.
I know this. Oh, Santa Claus, you are way too fat. That one?
Yes, that's the one.
I couldn't tell you the name of it, but we did that. I wasn't in that one. I was in a different one, but yes, I remember that.
So they send him to like a Weight Watchers / Jenny Craig's, like the Richard Simmons guy that teaches him how to jazzercise or whatever.
She was super 80s too.
Yeah. And the whole time, like his head elf, who I want to say was Huey, maybe?
Nope. I told you everything I remember about that pageant, unfortunately.
Well, the only reason I remember is because I was Huey. So that was my role, was he's sneaking Santa snacks when he's supposed to be losing weight.
He's an enabler. Huey, you enabler.
Yeah, that's exactly what it was. And so that was my first experience with theater. Was playing the elf, and I remember the teacher having to call my mom in because I would not stop telling everybody what they should be doing. Like I was trying to be the talent and the director, and I remember the teacher calling my mom in and telling her, Donnie's very smart, Donnie's very talented. Donnie doesn't know everything, and sometimes Donnie needs to keep his opinions to himself.
Oh no!
So Love Miss Smith. Miss Smith in fifth grade. Yeah, that was my foray into being in a Christmas pageant. Of course, I played in band in a bunch of the other ones, but that was the one that was really the closest to this kind of Christmas pageant.
That was a light bulb. I'm like, wait a minute, I know this. I was in a Christmas Around the World pageant in 4th or 5th grade, and I was Russian. And like, I am not going to sing any parts of that because it's as bad as you think. And then, nativity pageants in church. I was a shepherd. I was Shermie the shepherd,
Yeah, I think the closest we ever got in my family was like, and we have pictures of it, was like on a Christmas Eve doing the nativity just with our family and grabbing our costume box and dressing up. And I remember my take on it when I was in high school is like, I'm Joseph Hendricks, and I dressed up kind of like Jimi Hendrix, and I was rocking out on my shepherd's crook, and I'm like, yeah, I don't know, it was weird.
Oh, excuse me while I bless this guy. That's amazing. I kind of want to see that now.
Jesus was the original voodoo child.
There you go.
I mean, you're not wrong. So Shaggy's waiting for Scooby to come on stage as the ghost of Christmas past, but instead some other ghost poofs into existence behind him. It looks like it's supposed to be the ghost of Christmas yet to come, and it got glowing red eyes peeking out from under a hooded cloak. It's holding a scythe, red glowing eyes too, but this ghost hisses,
Oh, I am the ghost of Christmas never.
And Shaggy and Scooby, the first thing they do is they ruffle through the script before realizing that's not in here. This must be a real ghost. And they dash out of there.
I got to say, as a comic book fan, at this time, not a lot of people would have known the character. Now there has been a Disney Plus series, but I immediately thought of Moon Knight when I saw this ghost.
Oh,
it
like, does look like Moon Knight. Because it's a white cloak.
Yeah. And a blacked out face, you can't see anything in there, just the eyes.
I mean, Ghost of Christmas Never is so metal. Like,
it really is.
But my favorite part of this is that when the ghost shows up, and I think it says boo as soon as it shows up. It's either it says boo or it makes a noise that kind of sounds like that, but it sounds like Don Knotts. It sounds to me like Don Knotts is Terry boo, like he does in. I think he does it in Ghost and Mr. Chicken, but the ghost sounds like Don Knotts to me.
I'm gonna nip this pageant in the bud. But Scooby and Shaggy run out of there so fast that Scooby's costume falls off as this glowing ghost chases them. It's got a green aura around it, and they never explain that. Daphne, Fred, and Scrappy run after them all off the stage and out of the building, where Scooby, Scrappy, and Shaggy emerge from behind a tree in elf costumes. Don't think about it. That's what's happening.
So many costume changes in this out of nowhere. It is amazing.
Why do they all look like Tingle?
Yay!
They all look like Tingle.
Yeah, truth be told, they actually look more like they're like serfs from medieval times.
They do,
as opposed to elves. Yeah.
Like elves to me are the little boots with the little curled toes and the pointed hat, hanging over the side. It's like Santa's hat, but it's
and jingle bells. Yeah.
No, these guys, they look exactly like Tingle from Legend of Zelda.
Oh yeah, these are all Tingle.
These are all Tingle.
I've always liked that whether Scooby and Shaggy do get to do this quick costume change to throw off someone scary chasing them, they always get a lot braver all of a sudden.
Yes! I have that too, right here in my notes. Shaggy and Scooby are abnormally brave through this whole thing. Like, they stand up to the ghost multiple times in this.
Yeah.
It's so out of character, but it's refreshing. It's like, yeah, okay, we're gonna fight you. Busted makes us feel good.
But you can't recognize us.
Yeah.
That's the key. Like, it's always when they're in a costume. And all three of them start singing Santa Claus is Coming to Town as they form a conga line with the ghost.
Oh, you better not pout, you better not cry, you better not shout, we're telling you why. Santa Claus is coming to town.
And you're leaving town!
Bye-bye.
And just shove this very confused specter into a sled and shove him down a hill.
And have it run into a tree trunk like immediately. It's just like, wow, they were planning to take this ghost out.
Just a convenient sled that Nickleby didn't go back to his place with. Maybe that was theirs. But then they run back to the door and Shaggy's back dressed in his usual outfit. So for those of you keeping score at home, Shaggy has gone from wearing Scrooge's nightshirt and cap with no pants or shoes to full Tingle elf costume with pointed elf shoes to his normal outfit with the brown bell bottoms and black shoes. I don't understand. Daphne's still in her angel costume as all five of them now find themselves being chased again by this ghost of Christmas Never, who I guess walked back up the mountain. They, along with Fred and Mrs. Featherwig, run around the side of the building while the ghost appears to run inside, where the children are. But these adults don't seem to notice at first until they run into a snowbank. They look around and realize, hey, where's the ghost? Oh, must have gone inside. Let's go in after it.
Tiny Tina's about to get Carol Ann.
You know. So they go back into this main auditorium to find the stage all wrecked. The tree and decorations are on the floor. There's garland half pulled down off the ceiling. The curtain is ripped. There's no sign of any children.
That was the weird thing. I was just like, wait a minute. Like, where are the kids? Like, everybody's there and the kids have disappeared. And it's just and really, you realize how minimal the set was, because everything that's ripped up, it's still just kind of an empty stage and a ripped up curtain. That's about it.
Yeah, they had one set for Scrooge's bedroom.
Yeah.
I mean, they are orphans.
It's a children's home. It's a nice auditorium and stage, though.
It's a hard.
Yeah, I do have to say, on the stage are these presents, and one of them just brought back a Christmas memory for me, because what really endeared me to Christmas and Scooby-Doo was that when I was 3 or 4 years old, the thing I decided to ask Santa for, not knowing if it existed, not having seen it, on a shelf at a store or anything, was a Scooby-Doo board game. And that's just what came out of my mouth. I want a Scooby-Doo board game. And so Christmas morning came and a Scooby-Doo board game appeared. And it was the one where it's like, I forget what it was called, but it's like he's got all these jewels and gold. It's like in this, basically this treasure hunt type of game. And I was so blown away. I was like, Santa can deliver whatever you want. And that literally is my fondest Christmas memory. That was where the magic was made.
Wow.
The Scooby-Doo board game.
Oh, it's so good.
That's foundational stuff.
Yeah. So seeing
that.
these board game shaped packages on the stage just brought all that.
Yeah, there it is. Wow. But forget about the children, I guess. Daphne's found a clue. A lapel pin with the initials WN. And Mrs. Featherwig concludes it must belong to Winslow Nickleby, the only other character we've met so far whose name we know. So Daphne decides it's time to pay a visit to Mr. Nickleby, but Shaggy and Scooby want nothing to do with it. Until Mrs. Featherwig mentions Mr. Nickleby's cook baked some cookies. How do you even know that? What? Where did that come from?
Wait, and we have to mention here, their mode of transportation to get there. I was amazed by this because we said there's no mystery machine, right?
Right.
But there's a mystery sled.
The mystery sleigh.
It's in the colors of the mystery machine.
Uh-huh.
Scooby actually carries a horse out of the building above his head to pull the sleigh. I'm just like, what is going on here? This is amazing. Actual horsepower.
Oh, you told him they were cookies, and he's just like, rookies, and he picks up a horse over his head. That reminded me when Scooby said rookies. That reminded me. Have y'all ever seen the Scooby-Doo brand Go-Gurt package?
Ooh.
Yeah.
The box says Rogurt.
Wow.
It is the best marketing I have ever seen.
I thought you were going to bring up the actual Scooby Snacks cookies because they are delicious. They are so good.
They really are. Yeah, it's been a while, but no, they were really good. Yeah, I don't know where they got. I guess that must be how they got here in the mystery sleigh. It is that familiar shade of green and teal.
Yeah.
And Scooby also lifts Daphne, Fred, and Scrappy onto the sleigh like, let's go. We're going to miss the cookies. But they arrive at this sprawling estate where Nickleby lives, where they first visit the cook, Mrs. Muffin Stuffer.
Oh, no.
Let's play a game. Scooby-Doo character or adult film actress. Like, what are we doing, guys?
Quick, we got to think of a name of this cook. She bakes cookies.
Muffin Stuffer.
Sure. Where'd you come up with that? Don't worry about it.
Also, it'd be a great thing to, like, one of those, a curse word that's not a curse word. Like, you stub your throat. Oh, Muffin Stuffer.
I feel like Samuel L. Jackson said that in the TV version of Snakes on a Plane.
Yes.
Yeah.
Had it with these Monday to Friday snakes on this muffin stuffing plane.
It's the one that says bad muffin stuffer on it.
I mean, do you do shirts, Mike? This might be the first shirt for Advent Calendar House.
You know, I have avoided doing shirts because I feel weird wearing a shirt with my podcast logo on it, but
why?
I don't know. But Mrs. Muffin Stuffer is voiced by the late, great Ruth Buzzy.
Hello? Mrs. Muffin Stuffer?
Oh, yes. You must be from the children's home.
Who sounds like a child, of course.
Yeah, she died very recently as of this recording in May. What do y'all know Ruth Buzzy from?
Saved by the Bell. She played Screech's mom.
Yep.
Yeah, she did.
That was mine, but I remember seeing her like on Laugh-In reruns when Nick at Night first started. But besides Saved by the Bell, the thing I think of when I think of Ruth Buzzy is Pound Puppies. She was the voice of Nose Marie on Pound Puppies. And also voiced Mama Bear on the Berenstain Bears series from the mid-'80s.
Oh.
Not the specials, but the show that was like a Saturday morning cartoon after that. She was Mama Bear. But here, Mrs. Muffin Stuffer baked these cookies for the kids at the home. That's how Mrs. Featherwig knew she baked them. You know, the one her boss wants to close. The boss who bah-humbugged at us earlier. His cook's baking them cookies.
Got to keep him happy. I mean, he might close down a whole city or something. I don't know how much he owns. If it's just the orphanage, maybe we're getting off light here.
I feel like, is this an example of when you do a charitable deed, don't let your left hand knows what your right hand's doing? Didn't expect to get that biblical on the Scooby-Doo podcast. But while they're here in the kitchen, Nickleby's maid comes rushing in, shouting, "Oh, I am so, how you say, upset," in a better French accent than that was. But
Oh, excuse me. I am Nanette Musette, the maid. You are from the children's home, oui?
That's right. Oh.
My favorite thing about this entire episode is that everything, but most especially the accents, are just trope after trope.
Oh my goodness, yeah.
Everyone sounds like, if you said, okay, do an evil villain that's shutting down a children's orphanage, that's the voice that comes out of Nickleby.
Yep.
Okay, do a chef who's kind of stocky and it's in the 70s. You're going to do a Julia Child voice. Do a French maid. You're going to go, sa, 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 sa. Like, that's what you're going to do. Like, those are the voices that come out. Be a chimney sweep. Cockney, just awful Cockney accent.
Oh, goodness, yep.
Well, and she has her feather duster and she starts dusting off Daphne. I'm like, why is Daphne so dusty? What is going, or is she dusting onto her? Like, what is happening here?
She's dusting the snow off, I guess. That's the only thing. But yeah, no, she does that to everybody throughout this whole thing. She introduces herself as Nanette Musette, the maid, and she is voiced by Janet Waldo. We last ran into her on this podcast in Yogi's First Christmas. She was the voice of Cindy Bear. And the longtime voice of Judy Jetson, of course. She's wearing a classic French maid outfit, but it's the kind with the short skirt, like she's at a Halloween party.
Ooh la la.
During a snowstorm.
It's so short.
She bought it at the girls' costume warehouse.
At one point, I thought, like, what is she? How can we where do her legs stop? Like, it's just so weird.
Anyway, Nanette tells the gang Monsieur Nickleby is up to something fishy. He's currently in the library hatching a scheme to take over the children's home, so Fred says they'll check that out. Tries to round up the gang, but Shaggy, Scooby, and Scrappy are now in chef's hats and aprons baking more cookies.
This, I feel like, don't you feel like this should have been the episode? They have dancing gingerbread men that literally dance out of the oven into the box. I'm like, huh?
Yes. And they're totally fine with it. They're terrified of ghosts. The gingerbread men become anthropomorphic, come to life, and jump into the box and like, this is fine.
This
Totally
is the
normal.
scariest part of the whole episode. What is that about?
Christmas magic.
We're not even going to investigate the case of the haunted baking oven? No? Okay. I'm just glad they didn't want to eat the cookies that were for the children. That was thoughtful of them.
Instead, they wanted to eat the cookies that were children.
We're alive, yeah. Yeah, just get in this box. It'll be fine. Well, we cut to Nickleby and his lawyer and the cat in the library, and here's where we learn the reason he wants the children's home. He had an uncle who apparently left him a priceless emerald somewhere in the children's home, and that means he has to shut the whole building down to find it.
So extreme. Like, couldn't he just ask?
Right.
Well, I feel like make it a scavenger hunt for the orphans.
Guys, there's an emerald that belongs to me. Could I maybe come look for it?
Yeah. I'm just going to look for that and get out of your hair. Bye.
Yeah, or give a prize to whatever orphan finds it, right?
Right.
I mean, I've heard of the path of least resistance. This is the path of the most resistance.
Yes. This clown's got to take the whole building first, and he clearly tells his lawyer he doesn't care that he can't legally force out the children. He cackles.
They won't want to stay there once our friend gets through with them.
And through the window behind them, we see the gang listening in, and Fred decides they need to get a look at Nickleby's uncle's will. So Scrappy says, leave it to us, and drags Scooby and Shaggy behind him. And then the next thing we see is the three of them knocking on the front door disguised as three chimney sweeps with bad Cockney accents.
Chimney sweeps? Chimney sweeps? But I didn't call any chimney sweeps.
Blimey, Governor, you didn't have to call us. We can spot a dirty chimney a mile away.
This is an outrage.
I'll say it's the worst I've ever seen.
Yeah, disgusting.
I was most impressed by Casey Kasem doing the Shaggy voice and a Cockney accent. His is obviously the worst.
Yeah.
But still, I was just like, to have those layers and know what Casey Kasem's regular voice is. I was just like, wow, he's really doing something here.
Like, we're here to clean your chimney. Like, he's doing both at the same time, which is impressive. So they start cleaning the chimney and kick up a huge cloud of soot, which fills the library, while Scrappy takes a picture of the will with his Polaroid camera. And then they run out of there, promising to send them the bill. But then back at the children's home, the gang takes a look at the photo of the will and finds there's a bit of fine print, because there's always fine print. What a dumb thing to put in a will that you can't explain later because you're dead. Stop putting fine print in the will. So in order to read the fine print, Scrappy-Doo busts out a microscope to look at a Polaroid picture of the will.
I was like, magnifying glass. Why are we going to like a science microscope? Just get a magnifying glass. You guys are, there has to be one in the mystery sleigh, I imagine.
Yeah, the microscope that's sitting backstage for the Christmas pageant at the children's home. And no, you cannot put a photo under a microscope to zoom in on fine print. This is the analog version of computer enhance. But Scrappy looks through the microscope at the photo and reads the fine print, which says, "On Christmas Eve, your goal's not far. The emerald rests in the pageant star." Well, I figured it out. That's our show. But let's keep going and see how long it takes everyone else.
And now I'm going to make sure that when I die, I leave everybody lots of things. Like, I'll leave all my stuff to all my friends, but I'm going to write it in riddle form.
Yeah.
They have to guess and figure out what they're getting.
For a while, that's what the Easter Bunny did at my house. It was fun.
Yeah.
Fred guesses this means the physical star for the Christmas pageant. And Daphne remembers seeing a star in the attic, so they go up to the largest attic I've ever seen.
Second largest, Full House.
I don't know, because
they turned that into a functional living space.
Yeah, but I mean, still, they could probably touch the ceiling if they jumped.
True. Fair.
Meanwhile, Shaggy is an even 6 feet tall. That's from an official Scooby-Doo reference guide published by Hanna-Barbera that the Internet Archive has. And the ceiling of this attic is at least 2.5 Shaggys tall. This place looks like you could comfortably play basketball in it, even with all the stuff stored up there.
Hey, didn't they have a Harlem Globetrotters cartoon? Did that have a Christmas episode where they play it in the attic for their practices?
Didn't they show up on Scooby-Doo?
Yeah.
Of course, now I feel the need to become an architect and measure everything in Shaggies.
Yes.
It's like they measure the Smurfs and apples. It's like, oh.
Yes.
Yeah. We use the Hanna-Barbera standard measurements here.
That's right. Well, Shaggy is 6 feet, 6 English feet.
He's 3 Shaggies tall.
That's right. Well, Daphne says she remembers seeing the star in an old cupboard, so Shaggy opens it up to find the ghost of Christmas Never, who's holding the star, but zoinks, Shaggy and Scooby run out of the attic and out the window. And we get a lovely, stupid little delayed gravity moment where they're standing in the air for a few seconds before they realize they're outside. And thankfully, they manage to grab onto the edge of the next floor down. So they're hanging on for dear life outside. Still snowing, by the way, and they grab this ledge.
Yeah, I mean, it's a total Clark Griswold moment. I was just waiting for it. You know, like, are they going to slip off and fly out? You never know.
And this is where they do, like, the lamest joke in the entire thing, because Shaggy starts laughing, like unhinged laughter.
Yes.
Like, oh no, they finally broke Shaggy. Scooby's like, what are you doing? And Shaggy's like, zoinks, I guess I have a loony sense of humor. Like, is that a joke? Are we just saying words now? What's happening?
That's his fright mechanism for when he's hanging on for dear life, I guess. Like, I like my coping mechanism for being scared is laughter, so I understand. Like, I'll be in a haunted house just cracking up when I get scared. But
fair enough.
Back inside, the ghost triumphantly holds the star and cackles as we go to commercial.
Wake up, toys, or you're gonna miss Christmas Eve with the Kodak disc. Someone got the family a Kodak disc. Just look at all the shots they're not gonna miss. There's never been a time that's better than this to give someone the Kodak disc.
Nothing's easier to use than the Kodak disc camera. It loads in a snap and knows just when to flash. No wonder it's such a great Christmas gift.
So when you go out and shop, just remember to stop.
Get someone the Kodak disc.
Remember that show? Hello, TV lovers. We want to know if you remember that show? The Retro Network's newest nostalgia-filled podcast that will have you flipping the channels of your memories and discovering vintage entertainment that's gotten lost in the static of years gone by. We're your hosts and we want to introduce ourselves. I'm Adam Pope.
And I'm William Bruce West. Each month on Remember That Show, we will discuss a different obscure or forgotten TV show from the 80s or 90s that we love, hate, or want to debate. We'll be reliving some of our favorite TV moments from the good old days, and occasionally cracking the lenses of our rose-colored glasses.
It's all happening here on the Retro Network. So remember, when you're looking for the best in nostalgic entertainment, you just have to ask yourself one question. Remember that show?
that was part one. Like I said, the Nutcracker Scoob needed to be told in two parts. So we return to Shaggy and Scooby still hanging on that ledge of the building on the gutter, which looks like it's got a foot of snow on it. So on one hand, it's a miracle they were able to grab it, but also they floated in midair for 5 seconds before they did that. So fine. But Fred and Daphne try to help bring them to safety while the ghost of Christmas Never thinks now's the chance to run out of there with the star. But don't forget about Scrappy-Doo, who yoinks it right out of the ghost's hands and makes a run for it. Also out the window. Will everyone stop jumping out the window? There's a door right there.
The PTA is disbanded. Ah!
And then Scooby catches Scrappy midair, which is no problem. We just saw him lifting a horse over his head. This is nothing for him. But it's too much for the gutter, which starts to bend, and thankfully there's a tree nearby to break their fall. So instead of hitting the ground, they just fall onto a particularly springy tree branch that launches Scooby, Shaggy, and Scrappy back onto the roof and down the chimney, which empties out onto the stage.
Yeah, it's a working chimney on the stage as a prop. I was like, what is going on here?
That's a terrible idea. I guess the ghost of Christmas Never saw Scrappy get launched into the chimney, so the ghost goes to meet them at the other end and try to snatch back the star. But instead, out of the chimney comes Santa Scoob.
Yeah.
He's in a full Santa suit, a white beard, and a big bag on his back that I guess happened to be in the chimney. He bellows, ho, ho, ho. Followed by Shaggy and Scrappy back in their tingle costumes telling the ghost, see, we told you Santa Claus was coming. This is great. None of it makes sense, but it's a cartoon, and I love it.
Yep.
So Shaggy the Elf tells the ghost Santa's brought him a big gold star, and Scooby says it's right here in this bag. And the ghost asks, really? And looks inside as Scrappy bumps the ghost from behind right into the bag. These guys are great once they remember to wear costumes.
Yeah, I gotta say, the just the size difference is really, like, you see how tiny Scrappy is 3 apples high or whatever. Like, he is a Smurf size in this. It's like, wow, he shrunk. What's going on?
So they head off to find Fred and Daphne now that they've bagged the ghost. But as they leave, we see the ghost's feet rip out the back of it. And when they finally meet up with the other two, the bag's empty. Scoob, did you not notice the bag became significantly lighter?
I also like that the ghost's feet are glowing. The glowing aura is still around the feet.
Yes,
they paid attention to detail on this one.
They really did. I mean, I know ghosts don't technically weigh anything, but spoilers, kids, it ain't a real ghost. But the important thing is they still have the star, so Fred opens it up to find nothing. Just in time for Mr. Nickleby to show up at the door with his cat and his lawyer. But now he says he finally has the power to take back the building thanks to his old friend, and Shaggy assumes he's talking about the ghost. But Nickleby replies, what do you mean ghosts? I'm talking about the city building inspector. He's the only person I know who has ever referred to a city employee as my old friend. And according to the lawyer, the city building inspector has officially had the building condemned. And everyone must be out by morning. You know, Christmas morning. Now listen, I know that sometimes you have to work on Christmas. Sometimes. But I don't think that includes city building inspectors.
I guess when your old friend Nickleby calls it a favor.
Okay.
You get that sweet, sweet time and a half.
Well, Daphne and Fred decide they should still put on the Christmas pageant for the kids because they shouldn't let getting evicted on Christmas ruin their Christmas. So we cut to that evening as folks line up to get into the pageant. It's all swanky-looking rich people.
Yeah, I had a question about this because everybody comes in like furs and like fancy clothes, and they all like give the maid something. What are they dropping off in her head? Are they paying her because she's dusting everybody else off that walks through the door? But they put something in her hand. What is it?
Well, she's taking tickets, is what she says.
Okay, it's tickets. I was like, she's getting a tip? Like, what is this?
No, yeah, she's dusting off. Now, here's where I thought, oh, she must be brushing the snow off everyone because they're coming in. It has not stopped snowing. There's now like 3 feet of snow on the ground.
Again, tropey voices, because all the rich people are like, yes, we're here to watch a play.
This must be some sort of charity event for the home. How did none of these other folks have a pull to stop the children's home for closing? This is so weird. Even Mr. Nickleby shows up here with his cat on his shoulder because, as he puts it,
I wouldn't miss this for the world. I just love a farewell performance.
Oh, so evil.
So we see everyone backstage getting ready to go on, and little tiny Tina is one of the Sugar Plum Fairies with Scrappy, and she's on a harness to come flying onto the set and climbs a very tall ladder up to the rafters. This kid can't be older than maybe 7 years old, and they have her going up there by herself to wait for her cue to jump off of it and hang from a rope.
She has no fear, man. I mean, she might have a tattoo of that on her back at this point in her life. She's so tough.
I'm not worried about her fear. Listen, I'm a theater dad. My children have been in one show featuring a harness. It was Cats. They had one of their friends swing on a trapeze for like 10 seconds during that, "Can you fly through the air?" And it was the director's daughter and one of the other set builders' daughters. And both had done years of dance and gymnastics, and it was on the set, not up in the rafters, unsupervised, and adults were there to make sure that it went by okay.
Well, at this point, they're not worried about a lawsuit that's going to shut the orphanage down.
I guess not. It's just like, yeah, what are you going to do? Close us?
Also, it was the 80s.
It was the 80s, man.
They're going to cut to Tiny Tina, and she's going to hold up her fists, and it's Uncle written on one and Scoob written on the other.
Unca, Scoob, Theos are both of them. UNCA, Unca.
Unca, UNCA-SCOOB.
Yep. I guess she's not entirely unsupervised because Daphne hoists up Shaggy and Scrappy as well. They get hoisted up on ropes, but they make the kid climb the ladder. Now I want to shut this place down.
I got to tell you, seeing, everybody in these tutus, our main characters, Scrappy and Shaggy and everything, and then like Scooby eventually comes in with a curly blonde wig, like this reminds me of the live action Little Rascals movie where Spanky and Alfalfa dresses the ballerinas.
Wow,
and I think that's all I can think of, this whole thing.
Oh, do they even have the big crescent moon in that too?
Well, and a frog. There's a frog in those.
And a frog.
The frog's about to come on stage.
Fred is a frog that becomes a Nutcracker. They like combine the frog print and the Nutcracker. Maybe the uncle who owned this building was a big fan of Christmas pantomime.
Yeah, well, there's also the stage decoration is mushrooms.
It's mushrooms.
It's supposed to be lily pads. Like, what? Was somebody didn't get the message? I don't know.
I don't understand.
And when they announce it, they're like, "We're going to do the Nutcracker Suite." And I'm like, "No, you're not."
Nothing about this is from the Nutcracker Suite except they play the dance from the Sugar Plum Fairies, which, by the way, is near the end of that show.
And I could get if they're just doing like selections from the Nutcracker.
They must be.
The Dance of the Sugar Plum Fairies, but that's not how they present it.
No, but it must be just a scene from that, a scene from A Christmas Carol, and then whatever Daphne's gonna do as an angel.
They could have made the ghost look like a giant rat and done like the
they should have.
But they did no. Instead, we get Moon Knight and Moon Knight and Tingle. Like,
yes.
What are we doing?
Oh, all of this rules. Scooby, as the queen of the Sugar Plum Fairies, waves a wand at someone in the frog costume, and that's Fred as the Nutcracker, which the baker, Mrs. Muffin Stuffer, who's sitting in the audience, notes, "Oh, the Nutcracker's the star of the show." And Mr. Nickleby finally puts it together.
Of course, the will said the emerald is found in the pageant star. That's the Nutcracker.
What did you say?
Nothing. Excuse me.
So he gets up from his seat, slinks backstage, pushes Daphne out of the way, and tackles Fred the Nutcracker in the middle of the show, shouting at him, "You're gonna give me the emerald!" And Fred doesn't know what he's talking about.
Straight up Roman Reigns spears him.
He does. That was a spear. More importantly, because he shoved Daphne out of the way, she lets go of the ropes. So Shaggy, Scooby, and Scrappy are all swinging helplessly across the stage, while this old man takes off Fred's costume.
I mean, it is interesting to see Fred with a mustache also, because he's got the blonde hair, but a bushy black mustache, you know?
Yeah.
It's kind of a fun look.
Yeah.
Yes, we know that he's not a natural blonde.
That's it. I always thought he had bottle blonde hair. And now he's lying there in what look like red long johns while this guy rifles through the rest of his costume looking for an emerald that's not there. And everyone in the audience is just apparently watching this in silence. This is part of the show, right? Well, the rope holding Scooby snaps as he falls onto a set piece. He sends Nickleby's cat, who we now learn is named Snowball, flying up toward the rafters. And Snowball is now clinging to one upside down, terrifying, and he screams, "Daddy!" in his Frank Welker screechy cat voice.
Somebody save my poor little kitty.
And suddenly, Nickleby doesn't care about the emerald anymore. He helplessly shouts for someone to save his poor kitty. Oh, and by the way, there's a tiny girl up here who climbed up by herself.
At least she's got the harness, you know?
Yeah, she tiptoes across this very skinny rafter that's maybe a 2x8-inch plank of wood. Let's put it this way, if it's skinnier than that, then the city building inspector was right. But Tina reaches over the edge of the plank, picks up Snowball, and thankfully Daphne's regained control of the ropes now, so she gently lowers down Tina with Snowball, who's smiling a cute little smile now.
I gotta say, that is like the cutest imagery of the special is like the smile on the cat's face and Tina holding it. Like it's very nice.
Yeah.
It's heartwarming.
This is really where Nickleby begins his face turn.
Oh, yeah.
Where, you know, he clearly cares for the cat, and you start to feel bad for the cat who's clearly terrified.
Mm-hmm.
And you get that cute imagery of the cat coming down, and you're like, you want to feel good for them. So, this is really where he starts to become like a sympathetic character.
Yeah. He thanks Tina, and the audience starts to clap because I guess they're all drunk on eggnog and think this is part of the show. So Shaggy, Scooby, Scrappy, Tina, Fred, and Mr. Nickleby take a bow. No, you don't get to bow. I don't care how many sizes your heart just grew. This is your fault. Fred basically tells him the same after the curtain closes. You ruined the ballet, not you attacked and stripped me, old man.
Yeah, I mean, he's in his red long johns, but then he magically gets back in costume.
Yeah, he does later. Yeah, it's just like, before I go outside, I better put my costume back on. No, you ruined the show for all these paying customers. Everyone's priorities in this are weird. But Mr. Nickleby explains he had to find that confounded emerald, and he thought it was hidden in the Nutcracker, the star of the pageant. And Daphne has a thought. Maybe the emerald's in the antique Nutcracker they found that morning and put on the top of the tree.
Chekhov's Nutcracker.
And right as she says that, out from behind her jumps the ghost of Christmas Never, running out onto the stage. And now they show the audience laughing and clapping because they still think this is all part of the act. They should have done that earlier.
So I want to make sure I'm understanding the one set up earlier. Inside the star was where it was supposed to be? What was supposed to be in the star that Fred opened? What were they looking for?
They're looking for the emerald.
Yeah, so it was then. Okay.
Yeah, like The riddle said it was in the star of the pageant. So they thought it was the literal star.
But the star of the pageant is the Nutcracker. Yeah.
And the tree is conveniently on the floor level, so the ghost just yoinks the Nutcracker right off the top of the tree and runs outside into a conveniently parked one-horse open sleigh.
It's not the mystery sleigh. This is an all-new one. It's red.
No, this is one of the audience's sleighs, I guess. I guess they all had, like, valet sleigh parking.
I popped pretty hard for it being a one-horse open sleigh.
Oh, yeah.
I was like, okay, cool, we're doing this.
Oh, I had to write it like that. And if you think that's convenient, Scooby and the gang all chase after the sleigh on some skis that we've never seen before, just propped outside in the snow. Look, there's enough skis for all 5 of us, who are, by the way, all in their pageant costumes still. This is when Fred puts the rest of his costume back on. Not their regular clothes. No costumes changes during this pageant. That's unrealistic. Thankfully, we know they're all decent skiers. They've investigated more than one allegedly haunted ski lodge before. That's the most realistic part of this. Meanwhile, Tiny Tina, Mr. Nickleby, and no one else watch them leave. Tina asks where they're going, and Nickleby replies, I don't know, but we're going to follow them. So Tina, the orphan child, whistles for a cab, and when it came near, it's another horse-drawn sleigh. Listen, the pageant has valet service.
It's a pretty sweet deal, yeah.
Yeah. So now it's a chase down the mountain, and you don't put Scooby-Doo and the gang on skis to not have them go off a ski jump. Scooby and Shaggy land in front of the Ghost of Christmas Never sleigh, and the others land right behind it, so now they have it surrounded. And hey, remember when Scooby deadlifted that horse? It happens again, only this time Scooby's also got Shaggy on his back, so you have a horse on top of Shaggy on top of Scooby.
I gotta say, when Nickleby and his sleigh follow behind, and the look on his horse's face, the fear in the face of that horse, and then ultimately as they're going down, the horse just hops up in the air like, ah!
Yeah,
like,
the horse hops back in there like, I'm not doing this. And then after another bump, the two end up on the horse's back and get it to whoa. The horse lifts the brakes and sends the sleigh with the ghost flying. It crashes and the antique Nutcracker falls out, but safely into the snow. It doesn't break. Scrappy picks it up and... There's no classy way to say this. The way Scrappy picks it up by its leg, it looks like the Nutcracker poops out that emerald, right?
Animators have to amuse themselves somehow.
I guess so.
Although I have to say, total missed opportunity here. You have 3 characters, maybe 4 if you count Scrappy, with wings. Why are they not flying at some point? You know, at least like Daphne, maybe she's got the biggest wings of all.
Hey, yeah, sure, yeah. She could have like done a hang gliding thing for a bit off that ski jump.
Exactly.
That made that pay off.
Oh, missed opportunity.
Yeah.
We didn't even see why Daphne was dressed like an angel.
Nope.
That scene's not in here.
No answers.
I'm waiting for Lucy to show up as the Christmas queen. But all that's left now is to find out who the Ghost of Christmas Never really is. And not to brag, but I'm about to. I figured out pretty early on that it's Nanette the maid.
Oui, with that emerald, it would have been Christmas every day.
Ooh, this was a surprise for me. Maybe I wasn't showing, like my hand, to anybody saying like, oh, I want to try to figure this out. I was just like watching it. I'm just like, really? The maid? Like, I just did not see it coming.
It's okay. So the ghost clearly has a female voice, which, I mean, gives you 3 characters it could be at this point. And it wouldn't have made sense for it to be Miss Muffin Stuffer. Really, at this point, you kind of had to figure it was Nanette, because who else could it have been? Unless, I mean, the ultimate twist, it was Velma, and that's why she wasn't here.
Oh, that would have been great. Oh.
The final turn, the betrayal.
Yeah, this whole time, the Ghost of Christmas Never had that feminine-sounding voice. It was Janet Waldo doing the evil, raspy voice. But Not even joking. As soon as I saw that lapel pin and they thought it was WN on it, I immediately thought of Who Shot Mr. Burns. When Lisa assumed that he collapsed on the sundial with his hands on W and S, but from his vantage point, it looked like M and S to indicate Maggie Simpson. But Mr. Burns is like, what? No, I didn't. But
That's a solid Mr. Burns, Mike.
Hey, thanks.
I have to say, the other thing that threw me, when they show up here, like at the end and she's revealed, we've only seen sleighs. We've seen no vehicles that you would say are street legal. There's a cop car there all of a sudden.
All of a sudden, there's a police car with its sirens. No tire treads in the snow, by the way. Just sitting there in the snow like we were here the whole time, just parked.
Thanks for nothing.
Yeah, nope. Directing traffic up to this children's home for the Christmas pageant. It's a packed house.
I mean, to be fair, nobody called them.
No.
The kids were just like, Ghost, we'll take care of it ourselves.
Well, I mean, that's
like
what they
always
do. Yeah. But back at the children's home on Christmas morning, Daphne shows us the lapel pin. They were reading it upside down. It's not WN, it's NM. But I'll tell you, as soon as she introduced herself as Nanette Musette, I went, that's it. Yes, I figured it out early on, but also I'm 44 years old. These mysteries weren't written for me. She overheard Mr. Nickleby talking about it and decided to steal it for herself. And speaking of Mr. Nickleby, in he comes the following morning with a stack of presents for everyone. His heart really did grow 3 sizes.
Thanks to you folks, Snowball and I have found the Christmas spirit.
He didn't bring a goose, so he wasn't totally channeling, a Scrooge, but it's all good. No Christmas.
No goose, but all it took was a tiny unsupervised child saving a cat from a plank on the ceiling.
Didn't you think? I thought the icing on the cake is that he was going to adopt Tina. That just felt like the natural conclusion.
I thought that's where they were going to.
Yeah.
They didn't get that far. He just says, thanks to Tina, both he and Snowball have found the Christmas spirit. He takes out the document condemning the building and rips it up in front of Mrs. Featherwig and promises to keep the children's home open for as long as she'd like.
For a beat, though, I did not think that he was going to rip up that document, because the line he gives is, here's a gift, the document condemning this place. And for just half a second, I thought he was being like, here's a gift, the document condemning this place, now get out. For like half a beat, it does not seem like he's actually going to be a good guy.
You're all going to move in with me. I got like an 8-building complex. It'll be fine.
Yeah.
You can't beat the view at this children's home, though. It's like it's the nicest mountain view children's home.
I mean, if you gotta be, well, I mean, their parents are all dead, so I guess you gotta give them something,
right? But as we close this out, Tina opens a rather large box addressed to her, and inside, it's just Scooby.
It's Uncle Scooby.
Wait, did you really not get a legit Christmas present for the kid who saved your cat? That's rude. She's not upset. She just jumps in Scooby's arms as everyone sings Scooby-Dooby-Dooby-Dooby-Doo. And that's it.
I love you, Scooby.
Well, that was all very silly. Any final thoughts on the Nutcracker Scoob?
Well, I was thinking about this, this new Scooby-Doo mysteries situation that they were in. And it made me think, because one of the most special Scooby-Doo situations for me was when Batman, right, was a guest star. They teamed up with Batman and Robin, I think multiple times.
Sure.
But so I kept thinking couldn't we have gotten, we've got Ruth Buzzy, I guess, but it felt like there needed to be a celebrity guest at the end.
Yeah.
And I was just wondering, who do you think would have been the ultimate Christmas celebrity or celebrity of the era of the early 80s to put into this special?
Rip Torn dressed as Tingle.
Well, in the credits, what I found interesting, and maybe it's just because they had the two segments, like you said, normally. But I saw Garrett Morris from Saturday Night Live was listed as one of the voices, and maybe they just like put all the voices.
Oh
from
yeah,
the whole
no,
season.
they're all on there. I'm like, that was like 2 or 3 pages of voices. So I think they just did one set of credits and called it a season.
Yeah, that would have been funny though if he showed up. I don't know.
Yeah, no, he was Tiny Tina.
Garrett Morris as the voice of the anthropomorphic gingerbread man.
Oh, this was fun, as goofy as it was. And this, I think, was crazier than the average Scooby-Doo episode, but I had a lot of fun.
Yeah.
So wacky.
So, pup named Scooby-Doo aside, my favorite piece of Scooby-Doo media is actually the comic that came out 3 or 4 years ago called Scooby Apocalypse.
Oh. Where
it's written as if they are adults in a horrible monster apocalypse, and it takes itself completely. So DC did a thing a few years ago where they took the Hanna-Barbera cartoons and made them serious comics.
I remember the Flintstones one.
The Flintstones one where it's a very, very political commentary about modern life and consumerism.
Yeah.
There's one where Snagglepuss is like a gay media icon, and it deals with his struggle of being gay and being an actor. And then they did a short run where not Hanna-Barbera related, but they were the Looney Tunes doing things with the DC characters. And there's the bit where Elmer Fudd is like a serial killer and Batman has to stop. It's really weird stuff. But they did a book called Scooby Apocalypse where the gang, it's the gang all comes together. Scooby is a science experiment where he's super intelligent, but it was because of testing that they did on him. Shaggy is the trainer. Velma is actually the cause of the whole thing.
That's where she is.
Yeah, she and her brothers are like, they work for some super secret agency, and Fred and Daphne is a reporter, and Fred is her cameraman. Anyway, I'm saying all this to say this is now my second favorite piece of Scooby-Doo media.
Hey, nice.
This is not a podcast about comics, but this is now my second favorite piece of Scooby-Doo media because it is just so goofy and fun. And Scrappy shows up and is completely tolerable and the biggest Christmas miracle of all. He never once says puppy power.
Nope.
No.
It's this is really, if you're gonna, the only thing that would have made this better would have been to have Velma in there and have the whole game.
Yeah.
But whatever.
No, this is definitely worth a rewatch a couple of years at Christmas time. But thank you both for investigating this merry mystery with me. And if people want to chase you out of your attic window and see if you can float for a while before you remember how gravity works, where can they find you on the internet, Donnie?
Please just check out my band's SoundCloud. Mike has it linked in the notes. I'm always ever grateful for that. Just check it out. We have Misfits covers. One day we'll have our original stuff up there. But until that time, enjoy those.
And Adam.
Well, you can find me on 2 different podcasts that are coming out week after week. That is Wizards, the podcast guide to comics. Maybe we'll cover, one of these days, those Hanna-Barbera and Warner Brothers crossover comics. But we cover the history of comics through the pages of Wizard magazines. You can find us at Wizards Comics on all the socials and find out what that's about if you want some of that comic book nostalgia. Over 320 episodes at this point, been doing it for 5 years.
Wow.
But also, remember that show that I host with William Bruce West, where we have an opportunity to revisit the obscure or forgotten TV shows of the 80s and 90s. This time around, we are having some fun right now with The Tick. We're doing the Tick animated series, but also the live action series. And then this summer, we are actually getting into the Three's Company universe and all the various spin-offs and sequel series. So that's going to be a lot of fun. So check out.
That'll take the whole summer too.
Yeah, it will. And we talked about Don Knotts earlier. So Mr. Furley's in the mix.
Adam, I don't think we discussed your Scooby-Doo background you have in the Zoom call.
Yeah, so folks can't see this, but I'll post it to social media when the episode drops. So, Scooby-Doo was my cartoon icon as a kid. I liked everything about Scooby I loved and all the incarnations. And so when I was about 5 years old, my mom actually did this craft, which was it's like a portrait that you would put on the wall, except that it's done in fabric. So she bought this kit where it's like a green background, and then you have all this fabric and you stitch in Scooby-Doo onto it. So I have a picture of myself in Superman pajamas sitting on my pound puppy's comforter of my bed and holding up my Scooby-Doo portrait that she had just made for me that sat on my wall, and I could walk by. You know, it had kind of like a puffball nose that you could feel, and it was just, it had the texture, and Scooby-Doo was just my guy. So this was a real treat, Mike, for you to invite me here to relive the joy of Scooby-Doo fandom of my youth.
Oh, I'm so glad you could be part of it. Thank you. And please check out all of those things that they mentioned. You can find those links in the show notes of this episode. And to find me on the internet, just go to adventcalendar.house and I'll let you take it from there. And that, I believe, will put a bow on Christmas in July this year for the Advent Calendar House. I may or may not be back for Christmas Podcast Day, which they insist on keeping at November 1st. I don't make the rules. I just show up. I'm not sure what's happening with that yet, but if not, then tune in December 2nd for another dozen holiday specials, counting down to the 200th episode of this podcast on Christmas Eve. I'll talk to y'all again later. Till next time, for Donnie and Adam from the world's fanciest Mountain View orphanage, this is Mike Westfall saying, mind the icy patch. I'll be back again someday. Have a Merry Christmas in July, y'all.